I was working for a food delivery service, and I had this one weird job that came up in the middle of the night. It was around 2 a.m. and I got an order for some Chinese food. The thing was the restaurant wasn't even open. They must have left it open for late night orders or something. I don't know. Anyway, I get there and grab the food and start driving off. It was then that I noticed it was actually quite foggy out. Like really thick, pea soup fog. This is bad, I thought. I'm not very familiar with this part of town. All I know is that I need to turn left onto Elm Street in about half a mile. I pull out my phone and fire up the GPS app. Hey, Siri, what's my route to my customer's house? It tells me to go straight and then turn right onto Pine Street. Then it says to go straight for 3.7 miles. I turned to look out the window and nearly ran bottom first into a ditch. There was no road. There was just fog. Oh, great. Now I'm lost. I started to panic a bit, but I told myself to calm down. Just go slowly, you'll be fine. So I continued on the road, or where the road should have been. Then I saw it, a street lamp. Sweet. Maybe there's actually a road here. I turn my lights on and I see that there's a road and houses either side of it. Wait, where are the street signs? I went over the last few turns that I took, and they were all streets that weren't on my GPS or on any of the maps that I checked online. Where the hell am I? I asked Siri, but she didn't respond. She must not be getting a GPS signal, I thought. I pulled into a parking spot and killed the engine. As I opened the door to get out and check where I am, a woman walked out of one of the houses. "Excuse me, miss," I said. "Do you know where I am?" She smiled and said, "Welcome to Hollow Creek. I do know where you are. My name's Sarah. What brings you to our town at this hour?" I tell her that I'm lost because my GPS took me here, and she replied, "Your GPS brought you here. Let me guess. You followed the directions to take Pine Street?" "Yes. How did you know?" I asked. She smiled again and said, "It's hard to miss when you take that road. So you must have come from Elm Street." I nodded. "Well, you can't go back that way," she said, looking me up and down. "Why is that?" I asked. "Because you're too late, silly." "What do you mean?" "I'm not from around here, and I have to get back on the road." She looked at my car and then back at me. "You can't drive in daylight, you know?" she said. "Huh? What?" I say, "What do you mean?" She seemed to look at me with pity. "Are you serious? You don't know?" I stared back at her, confused. Sarah sighed and put her hands on her hips. She looked like she was going to say something else, but then she shook her head and said, "Never mind. Would you like me to show you around town?" "Sure. Why not?" I said, "except I don't want to stay here. How do I get back to the main road?" She took me on a tour of this ghost town, which didn't answer my question, by the way. There were buildings and things like that, but they all looked really old and abandoned. There were also a lot of street lamps, but there wasn't a single car on the road. It was almost like the entire town was abandoned. As we continued through the town, I could hear the faint sound of screaming and shouting in the distance. It sounded like kids having some kind of fun, but it was unsettling to hear them screaming in the fog. I felt like something was watching me. We finally came to the edge of town, and I could see the main road. I quickly thanked Sarah for the tour and told her that I'm gonna go now. "You're welcome." She smiled. "I'm glad you enjoyed your visit. Remember, if you ever come back this way, you're always welcome to stop by for a chat." "Sure. Yeah, maybe next time." So I got back into my car and started heading towards home. I never thought I'd be so happy to see a McDonald's parking lot, but man, was I ever happy. I made it back to the main roads without incident, and I stopped at a gas station to get some coffee and try and calm my nerves a little. I've worked nights before, and I've stayed up for long stretches of time, but something about that town just really freaked me out. Still, I tried to rationalize it. It's probably just an old abandoned town, I thought. There's probably a sign somewhere that says something like population, 400 and no year listed, meaning that they all moved away a long time ago. It's just an old, abandoned town. There's nothing to worry about. I took a swig of coffee and headed out of the gas station. Now, when I'm driving and I'm tired, I sometimes close my eyes for a second to try and shake off the sleepiness. I did that again right after leaving the gas station. When I opened my eyes, I was startled to see that the road had vanished. I slammed on the brakes and skidded to a halt. I frantically looked for a road, but there was none to be seen. It was just fog. I tried to turn the wheel and move forward, but my tire hit something hard and I couldn't move. I finally spotted something through the fog. A house. No, not a house. A hut. And the more I looked, the more huts I saw, along with more people. And they were staring at me. "Who are you people?" I yelled. "Why are you hiding in the fog? Come out and talk to me." One of the people stepped forward. He was tall and thin with scraggly gray hair and a hooked nose. "Sir, if you're lost, we can help you," he said, "but I know where I am." I yelled. I was trying to back up, but I couldn't. The wheels on my car just spun, spitting up dirt. Did I run over something? I looked down and saw that my tire was on top of a rock. When I tried to lift the tire up, it wouldn't budge. I tried to turn the wheel, but it wouldn't turn. I tried to put it in reverse, but it wouldn't move backwards either. I was freaking out at this point. I kept yelling, "Why can't I move? What did I run over?" The tall man with the hooked nose leaned in and whispered, "You ran over the boundary, sir." "Boundary? What do you mean?" I asked. He backed away slightly and said, "Welcome to Hollow Creek." I stared at him for a second. Then I turned to look back at my GPS. It was completely dead. I was trapped here. Why am I here? I say the man with the hooked nose smiled and said, "You were brought here for a reason." I got scared. Was I brought here for a reason? What do you mean? I asked. The man with the hooked nose looked down at his feet. "Maybe it's not my place to tell you," he said. A woman from behind him stepped forward. She had a sharp face with unkind eyes. "I don't think he understands, Ilara." He turned to me and said, "We don't want to hurt you. I'm sorry, but you have to stay here now. Stay here." "Why?" I asked. Ilara said, "Because once you enter Hollow Creek, you can never leave." "What? So why are people still entering?" I asked. Ilara looked at me and smiled. "Most of them don't make it out," she said. Then I saw them. I saw the people that were hiding in the fog. Some of them were in cars and others were walking towards me. They all looked tired, worn out, like they hadn't slept in days. And then I noticed something else about them. Their eyes were empty and soulless. No one who enters Hollow Creek ever leaves the same. One of the people with the soulless eyes stepped forward and he looked familiar. Then I realized who it was. It was the woman who led me on the tour. "Sarah, what have you done?" I asked. She smiled and said, "Welcome to Hollow Creek. Now you'll never leave." I tried to scream, but no sound came out of my mouth. They were here. They were coming for me. One of them reached out and grabbed my shoulder. I looked into his soulless eyes and he smiled. Then everything went black.